Well, hello, and good morning, and welcome to Sunday morning at Mountain Vista UU. It is so delightful to see everyone. As it's starting to get warm, summer's around the corner. Welcome to Arizona. I'm Chris Tackett. I'm your music director and chief polar bear wrangler, and I am happy. I always love that I get to be the first one to say hello and good morning to you all. Couple little points of business. Number one, you know what this is. You know what to do. Take a second, double check, and make sure that anything you have that beeps or twitters or squawks or whatever is set to shh for the next hour and some. And we look forward to that. As well as I also get the first chance to start the service. And this morning, with a whole lot going on, which we'll get into in the service in just a little bit, it felt like a good morning for a blues.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist here in beautiful Tucson. My name is Alex, and I'll be your pastoral associate today. Whether you're joining us here in the sanctuary this morning or watching from home, live or later on YouTube, we're really glad you're here with us. I want to first express gratitude to our staff members here. Chris Tackett, music director, Reverend Matthew Funk-Crary, our Reverend, Kaleo Martin, our admin, and of course Stacy Sosa, our religious educator, as well as the AV crew up in the stand making us sound pretty and look pretty. Our hospitality, and of course our song leader, which is done by both right now, and our welcoming crew as well. Today's service explores the theme of feminism and the ongoing work of building a world rooted in equality, dignity, and justice for all people. It's big work, but it's also shared work. None of us does it alone. Writer and activist Glory Steinem once said, "The story of women's struggle for equality belongs to no single feminist, but to the collective efforts of all who care about human rights." I like that reminder that this work belongs to all of us together. So wherever you're joining us from today, we're grateful you're here and part of this community. As we move through the service, may this be a time of reflection and openness, and may this service be a source of reflection, connection, and community. Thank you for being here this morning. Our chalice lighting is called "To Be a Unitarian Universalist" by Reverend Erica Hewitt. It's also inspired by Elizabeth Wynn. To be a Unitarian Universalist means we'll never be done with the work of telling the truth about oppression, the work of resisting any laws, policies, or practices that deny anyone their humanity, the work of stubbornly seeking out the spark of the divine in each other, no matter what. The work of creating heaven on earth. To be a Unitarian Universalist also means we're not alone in the work. We're not alone because of our promises to love one another. We are not alone because we are companions on the journey. We grow ourselves into allies, helping one another get free, because none of us is truly free until we are all free.
My mic on. One of my favorite things is how we have set up our sanctuary. So whenever we talk about being together as Unitarian Universalists, we can actually just look across. It's not in the abstract. Yes, thank you. And you can wave at each other, and you can smile, yeah? I mean, not throughout the service, but every time we mention it. Oh, yeah, there's no talking you out of it once we get it started. That's for sure. We learn to be allies, as our chalice lighting just said, and we learn to be allies through our partnerships, through many different organizations, and we choose to show that each month through taking an offering, one of gratitude, for a different organization each month. Our woven basket partner is what we call them. And through the month of March, it is Emerge Center Against Domestic Abuse. They're celebrating 50 years of community activism here in Tucson, and during this time, they've grown into a full-service organization focused on a single belief. Together, we can build a community where every individual lives free from abuse.
Domestic violence is a public health and public safety issue in and of itself. We at Emerge serve over 6,000 people a year just within our organization. There are 15,000 911 calls to law enforcement related to domestic violence in our community on an annual basis alone.
Typically, when we think about domestic abuse or domestic violence, we go to really extreme forms of physical violence. What we know to be true is that there's a continuum of behaviors, and there's a whole set of things that a person can do to impact the emotional and physical safety of their partner. One of the things that's important to know is that, Emerge and the services that we provide are critical. We know that they matter deeply in the lives of the individuals and families that we serve. But we also know that Emerge alone cannot address the entirety of this issue in our community. So we have to also think about other places and spaces in our community where people who are being hurt in their relationships frequent.
We need to get people involved and aware of the issue. Domestic abuse is a community issue, not a private matter.
Men, women, and children deserve a safe and loving space to come home to each and every day.
Why I speak out against domestic abuse is because using my voice helps others use theirs. Listening to survivors in our community tell their stories puts a spotlight on domestic violence.
We must ensure that our commitment endures to end this social problem. Using your voice to speak out against domestic violence can help save lives. Remember, we all deserve to live a life free of abuse.
In our community, we can stop domestic violence, but we need your help. Please go to emergecenter.org to learn how to get involved.
And so we take an offering in thanks for the last 50 years and for Emerge's continued work into our future. The basket, the woven basket, sits just outside those doors next to our wooden bowl, which is our offering of gratitude to our congregation for our programs and our people and this place. So as you go to fellowship, a time of coffee and connection, please put something in the bowl or the basket. Give what you can give, all that you can, in support of Emerge or in support of our congregation. All that you give is gratefully received.
There is nothing like the sound of a community singing together. Absolutely nothing. And it's my great pleasure to invite you to rise and join us in singing. It's number 1015 in the Teal book, and of course words will be on the screen. If you're following the book this morning, you want to be careful because we've modified a few words, and all of those will be up on the screen. I know I can.
just sing my song. When hope awaits at every turn, I know we will go on.
I invite you to a time of contemplation, of considering and pondering these times. For trouble waits at every turn. How do we, as Unitarian Universalists, go on? It took only 20 minutes for that hymn to come to Jeannie Gagne, the composer. She relates that rarely happens for her, so she trusts that when it does, she has to listen, because it came to her from her hope and her prayers and from her strong will. And then it grew from her work. It grew into our hymn through a collaboration with the lyricist, the Reverend Dennis Hamilton, and arranger Mark Forant. And just knowing that amplifies the message of the hymn for me. It urges us to go on, because the ongoing work of liberation, the breaking through troubling times, it comes out of our individual convictions and our collective collaborations. And I don't know about you, but I need to hear that right now. I mean, I really need to hear that today, because I'm worn out and I'm worn down by the troubles waiting at every turn, by the cruelty and the suffering caused by our government here in our country and now out across the world. It's weighing my heart every waking hour. So I need to know, I need to hear, how is it that how can we go on? This morning, Rebecca Solnit, the author, sociologist, and wise woman, published an article entitled, "The One Thing Everyone Gets Wrong About Feminism." Now, it seems like that narrows it down a little bit, but she does have a point. The one thing, she says, the one thing that we are getting wrong about feminism today is that it is dead. And she writes that premature obituaries, naming the end of feminism, they currently fail to see its entire, huge, panoramic story. And the pressure to tack on women's rights today, the rolling back of decades of gains in states, and the attempt to do that nationally, well, that's being used as evidence of the final nail of feminism's coffin. But it's short-sightedness, and it leads to the wrong conclusion. She writes, to look back on 60 years of transformation is not to say that further expansion of rights and equality is inevitable. Every step of the way, feminists have worked and struggled and fought and educated and argued to win the rights and equality that we have. I tell these stories to encourage people to see how far we have come, with hope that the evidence will make the case that the work is well worth continuing. And I tell them as a witness to dizzying transformation, as someone living in and benefiting from a world that is profoundly different from my gender than the one I was born into, let alone the one my grandmothers were born into. Don't stop now. And she amplifies again what I need to hear today. Ours is a long, long story of struggle, with its successes and its failures, and that soothes my heart. It eases the burden. Because it tells me that within our Unitarian Universalist faith, our ongoing struggle with successes and with failures to create heaven on earth, well, it's a long one. In fact, it begins back in the first century in the Middle East, the very first generation of followers who perhaps even knew Jesus of Nazareth. It starts with the very first Christians. Reverend Dr. Rita Nakashima Brock and Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker, in their book, Saving Paradise, How Christianity Traded a Love for This World for Crucifixion and Empire, recovers the beliefs of those very first Christians. These were people who walked with Jesus, who were in the crowds hearing his teachings, or at the very least were next to those who did. Teachings like, "Congratulations, you poor, God's dominion belongs to you. Congratulations, you hungry, you will have a feast. Congratulations, you who weep now, you will laugh." And the most challenging of all, love your enemy. This is an early Christian mosaic, and in it you see a young Jesus seated on earth among his flock, not up in the heavens beyond the clouds. All of this is simply to illustrate that early Christians believed and worked hard to create heaven on earth. And they knew struggles. They knew what it was to be poor, to be hungry. They knew what it was to suffer until they wept. And they knew because they were taught and they learned that within that there was still success. Saving Paradise charts the tragic co-opting of Christianity by Roman military leaders. The attempt was to reorient the faith away from earthly paradise to the sacrifice of the crucifixion, the rewards of afterlife. It was a theology meant to inspire legions of soldiers to fight until they died. And of course, that's not the theology inherent in Jesus' message and ministry. As a Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Dr. Parker makes it clear why this is so important for us as Unitarian Universalists to know today. She says, legacies of violence, terror, and trauma continue to bring anguish into the world. Now more than ever, people of conscience, people of love, need to do the hard work of theological thinking that deconstructs religion, that sanctions violence. We need to rededicate ourselves to the creation of life-giving theology and justice-making religious communities. And she ends by saying, this is the calling to which I've dedicated and devoted my life. Think of that. Out of the origins of Christianity, through thousands of years, our faith tradition, Unitarian Universalism, merged. Ours is not a story of success or failure then, but as Reverend Erica and Reverend Elizabeth said in the chalice lighting, they said it is doing the work, but not alone. It's just that. It's doing the work, but never doing it alone. It is telling the truth about oppression. It's resisting any laws and policies or practices that deny anyone their humanity. It is stubbornly seeking out the spark of the divine in each other no matter what, and yes, we're very good at the stubborn part. It's also our promises to one another to just love, because we are companions on a journey, because we grow ourselves into allies, because we help one another to get free, because no one is truly liberated until we are all liberated. And I don't know about you, but that's what I need to hear today. And with this, and with you, I know, we know, we can go on. I invite you now to a time of meditation, of rest, of breath, and focusing your attention on these words by a dear friend of mine, the Reverend Nancy Reed McKee. When she was installed as a UU minister, she invited me to give her the charge. Because of her long and tenacious leadership on the front lines of justice here in Arizona, it was easy. Be a badass, I told her. Knowing that her outspoken dedication, the very source of her ministry, was her UU faith in our divine spark, in each and every one of us. Reverend Nancy begins. Sit and rest for a minute. Take several deep breaths in and out again, calling your attention to this space. Attention. Pay attention. Pay attention to where you are right now. I mean, where you are. Where you are. And where you are. You are here in this community. You are here in this sanctuary. In this state, in this country. On this beautiful blue planet. Whirling through the tailspin of a galaxy. You are unique. You are made of cells and hormones. You are a mix of thoughts, emotions, values. You are the inheritors of your parents and your ancestors' dreaming. You are part of the human inhabitants on this earth. You are. You exist. You are breathing. You are still. You are connected. You are present. And you have a holy spark inside you. You are here now, paying attention. Blessed be. we gather as individuals and we gather as one people.
We live into this paradox through our covenant. Our promise that we will try again and again to seek the divine spark in each, to work for the liberation of all.
Each week, we remember this with fire, and with water, and with earth and air. The fire of our chalice reminds us of what we share and who we are called to be. The water before us holds the ebb and flow of our lives together. The stones of the earth, ready to receive all we carry, the grief and the fear and the anger and confusion, but also hope and compassion, and passion for justice and wonder. When these stones enter the water,
they trouble its stillness as our honest lives trouble and transform the life of this community, and we are engaged, loved, and transformed. I have a sorrow to report. Sibel Van Erven, a longtime member and active participant in this church, has died of cancer in her native Holland. Thoughts and prayers go out to her family, Bibi, Ingo, and Arnold. And we add stones for all that remains unspoken but deeply held in our hearts.
In a world marked by both tragedy and beauty, we gather so none of us must face it alone. And together we find healing and strength.
For there must be those who speak honestly of sorrow and wonder, and communities that gather in remembrance and compassion.
Our Pastoral Care Committee is here to listen and to lead our congregation through our engaging and our loving and transforming of all that is in our lives together. And our board of directors is here to listen as well. During this time, when we are coming to terms with the financial misconduct by those who are no longer in our service, our board wants to know your thoughts and your feelings, and to share what is already in motion as we create improved process, oversight, control, and support in all of our finances.
This is our Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist congregation and how we care and comfort one another.
Another song this morning we sing when we are frightened. This gorgeous tune, When I Am Frightened, is number 1012, again in the Teal Book. Everything's in the Teal Book today. When I Am Frightened, please rise and sing with us.
When I am frightened, will you reassure me? When I'm uncertain, will you hold my hand? Will you be strong for me? Sing to me quietly. Will you share some of your stories with me? If you will show me compassion, then I may learn to care as you do. Then I may learn to care. When I am angry, will you still embrace me? When I am thoughtless, will you understand? Will you be listen to me when I am lonely? Will you be my friend? Will you be there for me? Comfort me tenderly. Will you share some of your feelings with me? If you will show me commitment, then I may learn to love as you do. Then I may learn to love.
Thank you. I don't know about you, but there are some hymns occasionally that when we sing them really say it all. So we can all go home now. Or I have a few things, as you might have guessed, I wanted to say. Do you remember 1 year ago, March 2025? There was a terrible storm just beginning. Donald Trump had taken office, and in the initial 3 months of his presidency, he had implemented Project 2025. Am I reminding you of anything? It was known within the White House as the Presidential Transition Project. Project 2025 was an ultra-conservative, autocratic Christian nationalist plan to dismantle diversity, equity, and inclusion. Replace federal staff with those loyal to the president, attack immigrants, restrict visas to foreign nationals, roll back LGBTQ+ rights, cut budgets for essential service safeguards like healthcare availability, food insecurity, and education subsidies. Am I reminding you of March 2025? Perhaps then you also remember that a year ago, in response, here at Mountain Vista, we started the work our faith calls us to do. We started to create heaven on earth. We didn't call it that, but that's what we started on. Hearts burdened, we lamented what was happening to our country, and we felt it so deeply as we just attempted to comprehend it. We started listening to one another's sorrows and began to take up the burdens of those most impacted, like the Blancos and the Gonzaleses, two Venezuelan families in the care of our Contigo Tambien immigration ministry. And we started contemplating how to tell the truth, to resist what was happening in our country and the broader world. We began talking about protesting against the onslaught of inhuman policies, to raise our voices for humanity, democracy, and justice. We were, of course, not the only faith tradition doing this. In fact, last March, I joined a multi-faith Zoom call of hundreds of American clergy coming together to lament, to listen, to learn how it was that we could possibly go on. And there were 4 steps offered, 3 of which were long-time standards of successful community organizing: block the continued abuse of power, bridge with new companions on the journey, and build a future of liberation for all. It was the break part that was innovative. And it was break the hold of Christian nationalism and how it holds on to the hearts and minds of people within our country. It might sound a little conflicting, a multi-faith Zoom call, Christian clergy leading and among us, planning on breaking the hold of Christian nationalism in our country. But you see, it's not an attack on Christianity. It's not a denigration of the ministry and message of Jesus of Nazareth. It's not despairing of religion, of his disciples and followers that was formed after his death, whose mission has been and continues to be create heaven on earth. See, Christian nationalism is something else entirely. Reverend Dr. Lenny Duncan, a Lutheran, black theologian, presented a talk earlier this month defining Christian nationalism this way. Christian nationalism is an attempt to dictate whose existence is valid, whose body is sacred, and whose reality gets to be called Christian or democratic. The ontological foundations of words like liberation, democracy, and Christianity have been rapidly and fundamentally altered to justify this new reality. Once again, the message of Jesus of Nazareth is being co-opted for the use of empire. And this time, unlike past history where we have no way to affect it, we have an opportunity to say no. In the tradition of authoritarian propaganda, Christian nationalism dictates that liberation is the freedom for a privileged few. Democratic is might makes right. And Christianity is for the wealthy and powerful. It's kind of like what George Orwell said back in his classic dystopian novel, 1984, that double speak he wrote about. But instead of political authoritarianism changing it, it's theological authoritarianism. Theological authoritarianism. And that puts it into our sphere of influence. Alongside blocking the abuse of power by using political and judicial systems, bridging by reaching out and weaving new relationships among our neighbors and our strangers, and building an innovative future that no one has ever seen before, we have the opportunity this time to break the hold of this theology that it has on our culture and our country, our community, our families, our own lives. It's vital for the liberation of all of us, for a democracy that is of the people and by the people, of a Christianity that is consistent with its greatest insights and wisdom about unconditional love. Breaking the hold, unlike blocking and bridging and building, at its root is ontological. That means it concerns the nature of our existence, the truth about what it means to be human. What we believe concerning human beings, because that underlies all the cultural, all the political, all the economic issues. It's a theological issue. It's a religious challenge. And as people of faith, as Unitarian Universalists, it tells us there's some work to do.
Our sacred reading is called In the Midst of a World by Reverend Dr. Rebecca Ann Parker. In the midst of a world marked by tragedy and beauty, there must be those who bear witness against unnecessary destruction and who, with faith, rise and lead in freedom, with grace and power. There must be those who speak honestly and do not avoid seeing what must be seen, of sorrow and outrage, or tenderness and wonder. There must be those who grief troubles the water while their voices sing and speak refreshed words. There must be those whose exuberance rises with lovely energy that articulates earth's joy. There must be those who are restless for respectful and loving companionship among human beings whose presence invites people to be themselves without fear. There must be those who gather with the congregation of remembrance and compassion, draw water from old wells, and walk the simple path of love for neighbor. And there must be communities of people who seek to do justice, love, kindness, and walk humbly with God, who call on the strength of soul force to heal, transform, and bless life. There must be religious witness.
Several years ago, the Reverend Dr. Cornel West was a guest at our General Assembly. He was there speaking and preaching to Unitarian Universalists, a huge auditorium filled with us. I was there with my copy, Race Matters, which was dog-eared and old and worn out, and I was just thrilled, like a fan at a rock concert, to be in the room with him. And afterwards, there was this opportunity to go up and to meet him after he had spoken and inspired us and stirred us up. And I walked up with my book and thanked him so much. And instead of giving it to him to autograph, I just walked away. In that book, however, he tells us exactly what prophetic witness is. He says, it consists of human acts of justice and kindness that attend to the unjust sources of human hurt and misery. Prophetic witness calls attention to the causes of unjustified suffering and unnecessary social misery. It highlights personal and social evil, including especially the evil of being indifferent to personal and institutional evil. We live in a time where Christian nationalism asserts superiority, not diversity as what it means to be human. It insists that men, white men, are inherently dominant to everyone else. And it dictates the removal and eventual elimination of everyone who is deemed different. We reject that. That is not what human existence is about. That is not who you are. That is not the divine spark within you, or whatever you call that deepest source that is you. We stand alongside all faiths that reject that diversity, equity, and equality are the means to liberty and democracy. We believe in democracy. Unitarian Universalists would break Christian nationalism's hold on hearts and minds of our world because we stubbornly seek out the spark of the divine in each other, or whatever you call it. And as I've already noted, we've got that stubborn part really down well, don't we? We are tenacious about defending our own individual beliefs, and we're working on seeking out and learning and growing together in what we hold in common. You see, we have a bad habit that we need to break if we're to fulfill that call to prophetic witness. And the good news is, here at Mountain Vista, we're already on our way. We have begun to live into our collective mission, to engage and love and transform our world and build a shared identity of what it means not to be a Unitarian Universalist at large, but to be a Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist. We don't ignore our individual beliefs and opinions, but instead we invite one another to bring them together in a sum greater than any of our parts. We are breaking through the bad habit of being a community of individuals into being a congregation, people of faith. This is our theological statement. It doesn't have to be written down. It doesn't have to be carved into stone. You don't have to have it so that you can tell it to anyone every time you meet them. Instead, it's something that we live out through our relationships, showing people that we hold this to be sacred. That through our Christian heritage, we can say that love is our guide, and then we can let it lead our actions. We can almost agree then about what it means to be human, and that's the exciting part, because we're not going to settle on any one thing. We're going to continue to listen and learn from one another, to keep trying to figure it out. In the meantime, we're going to be living it out. By our dedication to our emerging shared beliefs, we can bear witness, prophetic witness, with our words, with our actions, and we can break the hold that Christian nationalism has on all of our lives. This is the ongoing work. This is what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist here at Mountain Vista, and we're doing it. We're breaking the habit. We're breaking the hold. We're making a better tomorrow. May it be so. Not because one person says it so, but because we say it so together.
It's hard to believe that the fight for marriage equality is now been done-ish. That's a whole different topic. For over 10 years, Jason Shelton wrote this beautiful song in support of the movement, Standing on the Side of Love, which morphed into Answering the Call of Love. Would you please rise and sing it with me? It's number 1014 in the book, but Jason's word modifications will be on the screen.
The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide, and so every soul is blessed and whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, erupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. fame. We are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
The future is happening now, and we want to be engaging, loving, and transforming it. Here are a few ways we do this together. Thanks to David's hard work, there's a new shipment of Cafe Justo. This is a delicious social justice project carried out on the first and third Sunday of each month. Sparked by the hopeful ideas of one migrant in time of despair, Cafe Justo has grown to become a sustainable, small-scale, international coffee cooperative driven by providing pure organic coffee in the spirit of justice, and possibly our addiction to coffee. We have ground and whole bean packages in caffeinated decaf and half blends. Taste the wonderful flavors that we often serve during fellowship hour and take some home with you. And now some info about our No Kings March.
Some of you may have heard of No Kings. Some of you may have heard that it's on the 28th of March. Have you heard that Mountain Vista has been invited to co-host at Oracle and Orange Grove the Faith and Conscience intersection? Yeah, now we're getting there. We got a couple more weeks to really kind of build that up. At this point, there are 150 or so people registered to join us. When I was at a meeting with the organizers last week, they said that's 1/10 of what we should expect. Yeah, somebody needs to do the math better than I, but you get a sense it's big and it's growing. We have several people leading us in different areas, and I'm really grateful, and we'll be talking about their work this coming week, but we really want to invite you to get involved, and one way that you can do that.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So Jerry Leggett and myself are helping put together the water and cooling station on the 28th, and Jerry's over there. Happy birthday, Jerry. So one of the things that we're looking for are donations. And so if you go outside and you see on the table, we are looking for donations of 5-gallon water bottles, because we're trying to be as sustainable as possible and not use single plastic, as well as applesauce pouches. And so there's some examples of out there. Feel free to also donate funds. We will also be buying what we need, but if you can bring in applesauce and water, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
And if you run those numbers again, Justin, who's registered today being 10%, we're going to need a lot of applesauce and water. Yeah. This coming Tuesday at Kol Ami Synagogue. I keep getting this wrong. Like last week, I called the rabbi a reverend.
Well,
and
to be absolutely honest with you, the people at Kol Ami, they're in the historic Temple Emmanuel building on Country Club north of Broadway. They can't fully decide what their proper complete name is, so
okay.
It's Congregation Kol Ami.
Congregation Kol Ami. Chris and I have been working with the rabbi for over 6 months on a project that is going to come to fruition on July 4th, 2026, 250 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence. We want to have an interfaith event in our city, and we are working with others to make that happen. This Tuesday, 6 to 7:30 at the synagogue is an opportunity for you, Mountain Vista UUs, to start joining us in planning that. Chris has ideas for music, and he has 2 choirs to work with.
I have a number of different groups. I've been talking to a bunch of people, including next week, our choir is going to sing a couple things that might be a preview of coming attractions in American music from the 18th century, and we've got a whole lot of fun things planned. It'll start with a simple learning session. We're taking some time to look at some historic texts, very UU of an interfaith group, looking at texts and looking at some historic things from the American canon, and then we'll spend some time talking and planning about what's going on coming up in the future for this group.
The other congregations involved are not the usual suspects that you find with Unitarian Universalists. They're more conservative.
Mm-hmm.
They're more involved in Christian nationalism. This is our opportunity to show up and for us to show them that relationship is sacred, that there is a better way, and start breaking that Christian nationalism as we prepare for the 250th anniversary of our Declaration of Independence. Please register, talk to me if you're interested, but join us so that this can be something that we, as Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalists, really take advantage of and lead in our community. Thank you.
For Releasing the Flame, we'll be reading Wherever We Are, Love Is by Reverend Deborah Hafner. As we enter another week of uncertainty in the world, let us remember that there is only one side, that of humanity and planet Earth. May we pray for peace, may we raise our voices with our elected officials and engage as we can in acts of resistance. And may we remember to take very good care of ourselves, each other, and those we love. May we remember these words, adapted from the Unity Prayer. The light of love surrounds us. Love enfolds us. The power of love protects us. Love watches over us. Wherever we are, love is.
I've got the benediction yet. And for the benediction, I'd like to invite you all to rise and take the hands of those around you. What we do is not based on the word of one person, so I invite you to read with me what we've just heard. The light of love surrounds us. Love enfolds us. The power of love protects us. Love watches over us. Wherever we are, love is. Go and love.
To shoulder, keep moving on. Resilience. We are strong. Shoulder to shoulder, keep moving on. Resilience. We are strong. Shoulder to shoulder, keep moving on. Resilience. Make a new plan. Stand up again and say, yes, we can. Resilience. We are strong. Shoulder to shoulder, keep moving on. Resilience. Make a new plan. Stand up again and say, yes, we can. Resilience. We are strong. Shoulder to shoulder, keep moving on. Resilience. Make a new plan. Stand up again and say, yes, we can. Resilience.